real Mollie Macaw still alive somewhere inside of Indigo Park? Obviously, this sounds far-fetched, as we literally saw her die at the end of chapter 1. But what if I told you that wasn't actually Mollie? We're gonna uncover that secret as well as many more hidden details about the once human mascots inside of the park, and how they affect the way we look at the future of the franchise going forward, which could change everything. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you grab your popcorn and a drink, and let's go ahead and dive in. So for starters, we already know a few details about Mollie Macaw. Mollie Macaw is the fun-loving character that is sported as the greatest pilot you've ever saw. Being blue and yellow with a dark gray beak and of course her signature pilot hat, she's known for being a bit reckless and even barnstorming from time to time. We also find out that she's Rambley's best friend inside of Indigo Park. And to make things even more interesting, our protagonist's mother's favorite character. Isaac Indigo himself even put a lot of thought into Mollie, giving her her own soda brand called Bird Up, as well as many collectibles that can be found all throughout the park. And this goes without saying, as she's also given an entire wing of the theme park to herself. But what if I told you her secret is actually a lot darker than her friendly persona invites us to believe? When we first get introduced to Mollie on Rambley's Railroad by Rambley himself, you can hear it in her voice. She's friendly, happy-go-lucky, and even invites us to fly on her planes. This seems like the type of character that would make an awesome friend and definitely one that would be a kid's favorite. She seems absolutely harmless, which doesn't really add up to how we end the game. The Mollie Macaw that we see chasing us is absolutely horrifying, out for blood, and will spare no expense at getting her kill. So my question is, what happened to Mollie from the time that the park closed 8 years ago to the one that we meet inside of the park? Well, that's where I have a few theories. And my first theory is that Mollie herself was replaced. There is a note at the beginning of the game, which is a question towards whether Finley's character was replaced or not. And if you look at these character models here on screen, you'll notice there's two different versions of him. One being cute and cuddly, and the other one being absolutely horrifying. Now, these models were found within the game's actual files, which means that Unique Geese himself intentionally put these in the game. So obviously there's the possibility of something going wrong with an older character model. And when you go back to turn on the power in Rambley's Railroad, you notice there's a Mollie Macaw there. This Mollie Macaw looks like an older character model, and it's boarded up with different metal planks. This wasn't by accident. These rocks didn't just fall on her. They are literally bent to keep her in place. And that's where we get the controversial hidden message of her either saying it hurts Lloyd or he hurt Lloyd. The power even flickers, which makes me believe that this character has more than meets the eye. I believe that this was a final distress call from the actual Mollie Macaw animatronic, warning us of what to expect somewhere in the park. Now then, that means that the one that chased us at the end of the game was actually just an evil version of that character, which would mean that this would also tie into the other characters as well. And if you look at even Lloyd's character model, it looks so much different than the one that we see in the backstage of Lloyd's main event stage. This one in comparison has no clothes on, and he's covered in blood. He's not sporting that confident smile that he did when Rambley initially introduced us to him. Instead, he's more evil, even skittish. So does this mean that the character models were replaced with the new evil version of themselves? And those are the ones that decide to chase us all throughout Indigo Park when we return back 8 years after its closing. These could also be the characters that were responsible for the Hour of Joy-like situation that occurred that killed most of the employees and some guests as well. But then again, why does this character that dies at the end of chapter 1, the Mollie Macaw version whose head is cut off with human blood, even have that blood to begin with? It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for it to be an animatronic in that case. So that brings me into the second theory, and one that a lot of people are speculating to be true. What if the Mollie Macaw that has stalked us throughout the entirety of chapter 1 isn't actually Mollie Macaw, but a former employee dressed in the mascot suit? I just want you to take a look at these two images on screen. The first one being Mollie Macaw, the one that we find trapped inside of the wall when we go to turn the power on in the railway, and the one that chases us at the end of chapter 1. I see a huge difference in the two of them. My thought here is that a disgruntled employee somehow is still inside of the park looking for answers themselves, and when we stumbled upon it, they decided to chase us around, following our every move, not attacking but interested into what we're doing. And when they found out that Rambley was working with us, they got upset by it, decided to eventually chase us and kill us. However, thanks to Rambley's help, we were able to avoid our demise, and it would explain why Rambley wasn't as heartbroken as we initially thought he would be. He was Mollie Macaw's best friend, but when Mollie Macaw loses her head chasing us, he doesn't seem to blink an eye. He instead just apologizes to us for the experience that we just witnessed. But that's no way to treat your best friend. And I do find it interesting that you grab the Rambly raccoon mask on your way out of the chase. I think that Unique Geese purposely put this mask here, waiting to give us that bit of information that there was once human mascots inside of the park, in order for us to tie 2 and 2 together. I find it quite interesting that this is literally the last collectible, and the story that Rambley tells us just happens to coincide with the fact that the mascot that just died had human blood coming from its head. But now the question is, why would there be a human inside of this mascot and eventually just turn itself aggro? Well, that's where I bring up Rambley's Rush, the arcade game that we've all come to know and love. Filled with hidden secrets and Easter eggs, this game will tell us a lot about this exact theory. Notice, inside of this game, when you go down into the secret area, you find a Mollie Macaw that is caged up. Now, let's go ahead and bring this into a real-world perspective. I think that some of the characters inside of Indigo Park decided when the rebellion took place to save some of the mascot employees and tortured them exactly the way that they were once tortured, putting them in cages and experimenting on them. And that's why Salem, at the end of Rambley's Rush, hands that version of Mollie Macaw that secret potion and turns her evil. My thought here is that there is a real-life Salem inside of Indigo Park somewhere, or maybe even an off-brand AI, one that decided to slip through the cracks, similar to a glitch trap, and instead is the evil counterpart to the Rambley AI, thus also being the one that gave these humans inside of the mascot suits the potion that made them more evil, and in a way of stopping Rambley, gave them these potions to chase us and kill anybody who interacted with him. There's also a plethora of other indie game theorists that believe that Mollie Macaw is just too popular to be let go just yet. You'll notice the voice actor for Mollie Macaw has been hanging out with Unique Geese a lot lately, and for a character with such development and an entire ride that we still have yet to explore thanks to it being closed down, they could potentially be right. What if the real Mollie Macaw, whether it's in Theory 1 or Theory 2, is actually still inside of Indigo Park? What does that mean for the future of the game? Well, here's my thoughts on it. If a real Mollie Macaw is still somewhere within Indigo Park's walls, then that would mean that we might have another companion on our side. Or maybe even worse. Many people have speculated that there are multiple versions of Mollie Macaw's mascot all throughout the entirety of the park, which, if you really think about it, could be possible. We see her so many times throughout the entirety of the game, sometimes behind us, sometimes in front of us, to the left, to the right, everywhere, which makes me wonder, unless Mollie Macaw has a special teleportation device that we've never heard about, how is she getting to all of these places so quickly? The only thing that could potentially make sense is there being multiple Mollies. And if that's the case, then that means that there's multiples of every character that we've seen thus far. Some ranging between good, bad, evil, ugly, who knows? That literally breaks the multiverse of this game. What if these characters are just like the multiple different collectibles that we see in the game? Some being special edition, some having different outfits. That would actually explain why the Mollie Macaw that chases us at the end of the game looks so much different than the one that we see when we're trying to turn the power on to Rambley's Railroad. If you take a look closely, they don't even have the same hat on. They're also a different shade of color. There could be multiple of these things still somewhere around here. They almost remind me of a retro version of Mollie, and we already know that there's a retro version of Lloyd and other characters. So if that's the case, things are going to get absolutely insane here at Indigo Park. What do you think? Do you think Mollie Macaw could still potentially be alive? Are there multiple versions of her, or was that just a human version of her that we killed at the end of the game? Comment down below what you think, as well as some of your new favorite theories, and I'll make sure to take a look at each and every one of them, potentially making a video on one in the near future. For now though, if you enjoy videos just like this and you made it this far, do me a big favor, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those bell notifications for more awesome videos just like this. And if you do like this one, make sure you check out this video here on screen as well. Either way guys, thank you again for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!